PLU squad, and that's quickly down. Xavier, they see themselves. They're going up against ASI8. ASI on the second floor. Levi trying to reload just in time with his AK. And on the outside, they're pinning that one player down. And it's going to be Casanova. Xavier wins this fight, but they lose Lamborghini in it.
Yeah, that was a clean sweep, but they are definitely putting their bodies on the line. So King Lambo, I believe that he's also being brought in for this game, and just like the fate of Boom Esports, you got to shake off a little bit of that rust. I would say that Lambo's pretty rusty. It's just that the circumstances kind of put them into such a tough spot. So 2 hot drops. What more will they actually bring? Now, looking at the rest of FaZe Clan. They're just right beside HORAA Esports. So what are they plotting up over onto this course? Because this is definitely not an easy fight to take up against HORAA.
Yeah, sharing the same area with Red Bull holding down the line. And HORAA, they know that FaZe Clan is around the corner as well, so both sides at the peak of their focus. But FaZe Clan, they do have the liberty of like still moving around, and they can still loot around their corner, while HORAA Esports, they don't really have much space, so a bit of a...
Definitely think so, but they're going to be forming up all together just to see if they could overwhelm some of the members of FaZe Clan. We are starting to see it repositioning coming out. Red Bull definitely needs a little bit more of a helping hand. But as they cut across, it's going to be Killer YT that actually attacks onto Supreme. But where exactly is DRS? I don't even get to see them in the map.
Oh yeah, that must be a super duper long range one. Not even on the mini map. Hopefully we get a visual later on. But Sleepy is defending his ground against FaZe Clan. Dewey is right in front of him. HORAA Esports doing so far so good. But Aitami knocked out by Red Bull. Red Bull makes an appearance now just behind HORAA Esports. He's a reload, and he's back up right now, dancing around, ring around the rosy. A little bit of backup, not gonna hurt, as HORAA Esports taken out by FaZe Clan.
That surprise ambush coming in from the dumpster is definitely a little bit overwhelming, where they did not find out just like that. Red Bull does force them to pay for their own mishaps. FaZe Clan now tries to actually run across and now bumps into the rest of Team Secret. Such an explosive early game. Just barely 3 minutes of play, we're already getting our players taken out. As a matter of fact, take a look at that. Only 49 players still on board.
Wow, 49? What? Okay, this is the fastest early Miramar round that we have got so far. I kind of lost count at some point, like, oh, how many players? But expect more to come, because we can see here Team Secret, they managed to get one, and that opponent of theirs is currently bleeding out. Delta! Check, we know that DRS, they're around the corner.
Well, as we've talked about Leones being such a vast city, where you could just field up to 3 teams. All in all, we don't always get to see full commitment whatsoever, but there is a commitment coming from the side of eArena now, going up against 4 Thrives. Pinning one out, still more to go, and look at the multiple layer coming from the construction. Paragon on the top. I think that he's going to be absolutely surrounded by the members of CD Alliance, but if he could just work this out, I don't know, perhaps the Xavier Bikes have their members to form up against the rest of Alliance.
But bad news for the team since I lost Ernest is not in the circle. Now, eArena and 4 Thrives. Here we go in St. Martin. They're trying to duke out for dominance inside of this area. As Noki passes by, the moment Noki passed on to 2014, takes him out immediately. eArena, now with only 2 players left, make that none, as 4 Thrives will win the fight against eArena.
Wow, just like that, swept them through, and I'm just surprised at how 4 Thrives has been able to navigate in that fight, and just basically pin them onto these places where eArena is hoping to just come in for a flank, but that was swiftly read like a book. To the YT, still pinning out members to the side of Team Secret. As we've seen, some of the other players coming in from HORAA to be pinned from that exact location where Killer YT has been playing. So these are really difficult angles for Team Secret to actually form a trade back at the rest of DRS.
As long as they're able to lock in their position, that's still okay for Team Secret. But they're not in the circle as well. They need to move in 730 meters away from the circle. So I believe that they won't hold this spot for any more longer. They're starting to make that move anyway. It's just a matter of who will they meet in front. But now, if we were to look at this, Contra, Stage 1, 4 teams already eliminated. There should be a good amount of space for them to rotate in.
Plenty of space, if you ask me. They're still, I mean, it's still stage 1, right? So opportunities endless. So that's the reason why we're looking at so many commitments where they're not even in the zone yet. The last we checked, that zone's going over onto the corners of El Pozo, and you're looking at fights erupting over onto north, east, south, west. West doesn't seem like there's much action to be involved, so we'll probably get a little bit more of that safety net for teams to now rotate. Now, excuse me. That's one skin that I've not seen for quite some time on that van that kind of looks like a furry rabbit. Very interesting.
But if you think about it, if you use those kind of skins, would that not give away your movement, right? Like it's so obvious that teams can they're there, like they're moving there. We can shoot them. We cannot shoot them. Like they can get that information and decide what to do. So I don't know. I mean, it's fun to have those skins in competitive, right? But then again, objectively, it gives away their position.
I would certainly agree. I mean, if it's not the looks of it, then you could just say some of the roaring engines would have just given it off anyway. So some aesthetics don't really hurt too much from time to time. Plus, if you're good enough, I guess you will always win the trade. So speaking of which, the Saber now are forming up against CLComDigi Alliance just by the corner of the wall. Stay team! Just by the creases as it will be backed out by Levi's, clearing out the vicinity. Still understanding that there's more members to go, so Oleo comes in as a backup.
And finally, we've seen this fight end right now with Blue on top of them. Xavier and Nate just across Paragon, moving off down. Only Nate left, the final player for Xavier. Up against him is going to be Adeluke, the main fragger for CelcomDigi Alliance. Adeluke lobs a nade across, and Nate takes a lot of damage. I wonder if he's able to heal up in time. He is able to heal up in time and counter back onto Adeluke.
Wow, perfect timing. The moment that he actually heals up, he just goes ahead to really unleash the shells coming from his shotgun. Now, JBOP versus Nate T. I believe he should be able to get that revive up against Paragon as he comes back up. But Kasim's so far away, so Jimmy OP, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch, but we've seen some big clutches coming from this man before, from yesterday's 1 versus 2. Can he now pull up against the rest of the X?
And he's going for it. Okay, he does have 28 bandages and 2 first aids, so he can still tank out stage 2 and maybe stage 3. But then again, let's not forget the circle is kind of far, 2.8 thousand meters away. So I don't know if he wants to continue this on or maybe just bail this one.
Doesn't seem like he has the vehicles to actually bail out just this form of moment. So if he could find any form of first aids to buy a little bit more time, who knows if they could still form up the exchange up against the EX. But for the time being, if they want to look for those vehicles, they have to start moving on the outskirts. And for now, we'll move over on the side of Champions Esports, sending out these members onto the corner of the wall. So that's going to be Boom Esports slowly losing members against the rest of Champions.
Champions scores their first elimination this round, taken by Urkas. And so far, a good position by them. I do really like teams who are able to play the high ground inside of Miramar, especially when the circle favors it. Okay, speaking about the circle, we're going to see the next phase of the circle. Champions Esports, they are currently on the southern side. El Pozo is the center of attention now, and it will continue to be the center of attention with the circle.
Oh, this is them led by their current leader at the moment, Zeta.
Yeah, they will have an easy entry into the circle. Maybe even going straight. Oh, but hang on. Oh, Champions Esports by the side deals a lot of damage to Razak, forcing Razak to stop and heal. Okay, Razak, can he actually get out of this sticky situation while Balja keeps an eye on him? Okay, Razak heals up, but he decided to not use his vehicle anymore. Maybe the vehicle is punctured. Perhaps
so.
we'll get a good view later on.
Yeah, now they're also closing right in. So he's walking on foot, so he's going to be absolutely a sitting duck. Not too sure where exactly are the rest of VOIN Donkey. They're not trading back just yet. I heard a couple of shots, but that's not really connecting on to Champions Esports instead. So, quick takedown just what they needed. Just a little bit of a hefty point gain, slowly and steadily. While we take a look at the rest of the pack, D-Savior is still tanking the blue zone. The singular member of CD Alliance still by the corner of Los Angeles, trying to make his way out of it. So it has been such a tough struggle for some of these games to even have any more impact heading into the late game.
And speaking about impact, DRS, they start off this round with 3 eliminations already. So they're currently at number 16. But the next contender, Alter Ego, is still in the game with a full squad, so they need to continue on to collect those points and ideally eliminate Alter Ego for them to be in the top 16. But so far, based on their position and what we can see on the map, no further challenges for them. And Alter Ego, they're on the other side of the circle anyway, so for them to meet up with each other, it's probably not going to be now.
Definitely will take a while. Meanwhile, look at Thrives there, trying to battle for the high ground position, and not too far off is going to be a member of Alter Ego. That's going to be Badru, which we've been assuming whether if it's Rosemary or not. DRS on the far stretch might actually see their position being compromised as well. So Gante, he definitely spot those movements. So I wonder if these form of exchanges will kind of deter either side of the party. While Nylon is going to be the center of it all, we'll see whether if this circle actually moves deeper within the region of El Pozo. It looks like it's going to be on the outskirts instead. So there's just ample space over onto the north as well as the west. So Champions Esports, they can claim it as quickly as they could.
Okay, at least it's not an urban ending. So out in the open, teams will be forced to fight each other. And most importantly, they need to prepare their vehicles to create like barricades if needed, if it goes to shove that, or you have to go into the middle of the circle and it's an open space. So vehicles are going to be super important in this match here.
Definitely. It's always been important in Miramar, but at this current standpoint, even more crucial for them to keep their vehicles intact. Because at any given moment, if you were to be late to the scene, you will expect a lot of attention to be drawn when you're just trying to drive by. So does actually find just about enough spacing to just move past, but there is a lurking DRS member right behind those slumps, and that's where Sarah's actually had a flip. Very bad timing. Well knocked. Billy moves towards the rest of these two members of DRS, leaving himself vulnerable for an ambush. So that's where Ruthless has to back him up.
Ooh, DRS continues on the fight with Alter Ego, but it's going to be hard for Badru to be picked up. Look at his position all the way up there, and his players could be on the way, but I don't know if they can reach him in time, so he could be eliminated soon.
Yeah, unless he actually drops towards the lower ground and maybe soak enough damage. So these players really have a lot to do at this moment. The rest of Boom Esports, they found themselves a little bit of that safe region, but they also want to find a deeper area of play because they are stuck within the city of El Pozo at the moment.
And that's what happens when you get this kind of circle that moves away from the urban area. Everybody who's within it will need to come out. But DRS not in the urban area, but they're trying to find a route into the circle. Here comes Delta, flying car, gets one, but cannot get the second one.
Oh, that was pretty huge. Catches coming right through with DRS so far, holding it strong, but here comes the rest of Alter Ego closing right into the one. He barely has any space, and he just wants to ensure that this vehicle still disrupt his, but at the same time, he leads forward, leaving himself vulnerable to Nylon's long-range ambush.
Beautiful support role by Nylon from afar to ensure that they take this win against the DRS, but they're not out yet though. Gante is still here. The sole hope for DRS, but he chooses to move towards the left side where Thrives Donkey is at. Thrives Donkey does have the high ground advantage, but Gante's shot does connect. Now arriving is another member of Thrives, and they have the numbers, they have the manpower to eliminate him.
Wow, that was explosive. I mean, Alter Ego surviving through it all? That's pretty absurd to looking at how disruptive it has been coming from the side of DRS, but of course, with the position coming from Nylon, they've been able to just set up the perfect pincer while we're looking at once again moving up against the rest of the members of REINCE. I'm not sure if he's gotten those ideas, but with him just walking past, he's not being punished, and now he does. Ruthless catches me off guard.
Surprise, surprise by Ruthless. Totally didn't expect that. That's where he wanted to oversee the corner. But now, Homer 5 is going to be Zero, putting pressure onto Alter Ego while they're duking it out with 4 Thrives. Alter Ego Badru very, very low. But somehow he still managed to survive his knock from that high ground earlier on. But anyway, this is going to be his second challenge here to fight against 4 Thrives. And looks like Pablo. Wait, is Badru still in this?
Huh. I think he might actually be in this. So if he is, where exactly could he be positioned? Because you got Alba taken out. You've had the rest of them pretty much taking different spots. Now that they're having a bleeding member, it's just going to be one member left for the side of Alter Ego, unfortunately. VOIN Esports, they're on the lower ground. They exited the compounds coming in from El Pozo, and now this is going to be a steep climb up against the rest of REINCE. And take a look at Pepank. He's also drawn pretty closely. So if they manage to expose the location of VOIN Esports, then all of them will be in trouble.
When Refuse gets a Pablo from Alter Ego. REINCE Esports now only 2 players left, Refuse as well as Joel, and they don't have the circle. They have to step out of this compound. And a lot of shots waiting for them, including VOIN Esports. Here comes Claw as well. So many teams in front of them. But they have to make do with the 2 players that they have right now. Or hope for these teams to cancel each other, and then they'll have an opening later on.
True enough. Now, 4 Thrives dealing with the situation up against the push coming in from the side of Claw Slayers. 1 member being pinned down, but they also put their bodies on the line. Wow, that's a huge one as the rest of 4 Tribes, they go on a rampage. That's 10 elimination points secured.
Wow, 4 Thrives on a roll this round.
Point secured.
Wow, 4 Thrives on a roll this round. 10 eliminations already and probably more to come. As within the circle, in the middle, we have Champions Esports. But there's also other teams around them. But okay, we'll focus onto the right side of the circle because now it's time for REINCE Esports to move.
REINCE, they have the entire area surrounded. VOIN Esports barely getting enough of that space, but they could still squeeze past, I do believe, by playing on that lower ground to just get a foot into the zone. That's just about as good enough. But for Vexy, now dealing with the rest of Team Secret. Team Secret weakened only to 1 though. So Vexy should be able to pin him down, and he just moves right past these members. So VOIN Donkey, they should be able to eventually wear him down. So it's really down to GK. How much can he acquire in this fight?
There's only GK left right now. Up against VOIN Donkey. Oh, door opens. GK, surprise, surprise! With us.
Have you been sitting on a smart business idea and need to get it online? GoDaddy makes it fast and easy with user-friendly products and tools to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Plus, get AI to help build your business for you with the all-new GoDaddy Aero experience. Start for free at godaddy.com.
Understand why, because it's been so rowdy throughout this ride. 4 Tribes, they at least have a little bit of that safety net into the corners of the church, but how long more can the rest of REINCE Esports hold there just by the corner of the map? I believe this to be closing into the center, and that is going to be Kasim still sneakily hiding in between members of Champions, and there's still Alter Ego having a member somewhere in the open.
Vexy with his AUG. Now Team Secret, they managed to pick up all their teammates. It's going to be a 1v2. But Vexy's not really pushing it. He does not have the information. Now he's turning his back. Team Secret, they're not interested to counter onto him since they need to reset as well. So Vexy, counting his lucky stars. He's okay for now. But second time around by GK. GK almost getting Vexy. 10% of health left. In front of Vexy is going to be VOIN Esports. So Vexy has to be extra careful now.
Yeah, he's falling so low. He's got to heal up the nades. Now being tossed in from the side of Secret. He's got to quickly reposition, else he'll be clipped. But it seems like it's just going to be a couple of smokes down for him to just be able to trail right through. Naki just knock on their door. Well, 4 Tribes holding the rest of REINCE hostage. Zyle could not afford to actually climb up. No space for him to do so, so they're just trying to hurl grenades as an exchange. But there we go. This is going to be some hefty jump for him to actually secure it. Well, trying to actually disconnect, but not any longer for Thrives pinning them out.
Number 7, 2 elimination points for 4 Thrives, 3 points collected by them. Now we're gonna look at Champions Esports, who's kinda comfortable in the middle of the circle. So far so good, retaining all 4 of their players with 5 elimination points. Champions Esports, this team, man, what I noticed is that they are always pretty consistent, though they have not scored the chicken dinner, but you always see them do well.
Yeah, true enough, and for Thrives, especially in Miramar, they're just maestros of this map, and I guess that we kind of let them slip past our radar when it comes down to predictions, but currently in the driver's seat with 3 members strong, we'll be able to actually form up even a challenge up against Champions Esports later on. Big damage over onto Yummy. Jinky flags him, and there's just no space for Boom Esports to work with.
That is Boom Esports out with a decent amount of points this round. Now down to the top 4 teams. Champions Esports, only team with a full squad. They stand a good chance of getting this chicken dinner.
They actually do. Champions Esports, they just got to play this to perfection. They spot out the rest of Team Secret, now rotating over onto that bus. But where exactly can they go from here on? Just playing along the very far south, while Champions, they are taking the entirety of the center of their fold. So by right, if they just have all the vision in control, they should be able to close out this game.
Looking at Team Secret now. Kazus holding his trigger. While we can see 4 Thrives on the other side, still within the circle, but we have stage 7 coming soon. And 4 Thrives, so far so good with a high ground advantage, but there's a likelihood that the circle will move away. That's when 4 Thrives will need to prepare to get down. And when it comes to going down, there's a lot of open space.
There's just so much area for them to still wiggle around, but once they climb out, they're just susceptible with a lot of all these areas that's pretty much out there in the open. Azus hiding by the corner. What 4 Thrives can do is to take those vehicles, form up a dive to get into the zone, and maybe if there's going to be some help coming from FaZe Clan or even Team Secret, then there will be a little bit more wiggle spot for 4 Thrives to be able to go in for a wider wraparound. But Team Secret, I don't think they could actually move too far off because their vehicle's pretty much blown up at this point in time. Champions Esports, they're just playing this slow, steady game in order to secure it.
Yeah, Champions Esports, they have control of the circle. They have like 3 players in the middle of it. And then they have Kazus here just holding down Team Secret. And Team Secret will now be pressured by the blue. The blue is coming in. As for 4 Thrives, well, they're also putting pressure on the Team Secret. Oh man, I don't know how Team Secret is going to survive this one, but they will try still.
Yeah, they're just wrapping very far and wide, moving deeper into the next dip, but it is going to be a very risky task. Thankfully, Naki has to go in for a reload, so it does buy them a little bit more space. You know what? They're not wasting any more time. They want to rush right through, and right now, this could be a perfect timing for Champions Esports to take on both of them at the same time.
Here comes Kazus. Putting more pressure on the 4 Thrives now. While 4 Thrives trying to deal with Team Secret. Team Secret, GK. Just enough of the Noki. But Kazus stole away that point from the hands of Team Secret. Here comes Champions Esports. They want to be the wrap-up crew. Champions Esports scoring point after point after point. Now they have 9 points. And they're looking to take out the final player of FaZe Clan. Where were you all this while?
Yeah, FaZe Clan, they're hiding over onto the north point, so they thought that, hey, it must just be somebody hiding over onto south. Nope, he's just got no clue where Shopper is. So 1 versus 4, it is going to be a really tough task. So for Thrives, I think that the reason why they rush it is because they think that, hey, we're only going to settle for second. We just need to take out Team Secret. But nobody knew that FaZe Clan still had a member hiding somewhere in between. So could I call that a botch call? Maybe, but of course, it is to none of their fault at the very least. So now the rest of the members of Champions Esports have moved around this warehouse. There could only be one place that he's hiding.
Okay. They know now. Now it's up to Shopper if we can pull off a clutch. AUG, not the best weapon to clutch. But if we can get an early knock, maybe. Okay, Kazus will receive damage from Chopper. Kazus now gets out of his vehicle. It's going to be a 1v1 between Kazus and Chopper. Champions Esports scores their chicken dinner.
Finally, we're getting a big win here coming in from the team that hails from Mongolia. Of course, beautiful work as they've been able to secure the entire region for themselves. So great work coming in from Champions Esports, backing a big, massive chicken dinner.
And I believe this is their first chicken dinner as well, a team that looks promising. Even though in one of those rounds that they did not score a chicken dinner, but they still look like they're able to push it through. And now they're coming in with their chicken dinner. This is a signal to all the other teams that, hey, you know what? You might not have seen us in the professional scene in the global stage, but we are here to stay. And stay they will be with 10 eliminations.
Yeah, very, very clean take. And Kazus was in such a great spot while he might be left susceptible for some pressure coming from Thrives initially because they were on top of the hill. But because of him being over on the foothill, he gets to really put himself in the position where he's clipping onto multiple teams at the same time, knocking off members of the side of Team Secret and even more to go. So great work, as we've also seen the rest of the pack to be able to follow suit. Member that I've always keep track on for C1 is Balja, because he's always been the rock, the steady member out of the team of Champions Esports to be able to make the right calls for the team.
And look at the heals, right? Kino only has one heal. How do you heal one?
Well, I guess you got scratched and you were just boosting up. Yeah, instead of using the bandage, and it's like, okay, that's just about good enough for me to sustain for the rest of the fight. So just a slight scratch throughout the fight. Pretty impressive still.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it, right? Like, it's a booster, because maybe at the time it's like, oh, I got nothing else to do, I might as well boost that one heal. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So you got that one. You don't always get to see that kind of number. But we also always, we also will be seeing for Thrives, FaZe Clan and VOIN Esports as part of the teams to watch here. VOIN Esports, again, the team that was on page number 3 the last time we saw them, looking to climb back up to at least page number 2. We'll check out the overalls later on, because right now we will compare Kazus and Falak.
Oh, very strong. These big numbers out there, and with 4 elimination points and 697, you could assume that some of all these points have been stolen away from this member. But Kazus, though, he was in that prime position, so to speak, that I've talked about, and with 50% of contribution, that is definitely a staggering number that we've seen coming from the member of Champions Hockey to be the MVP of this round.
Wow, representing 4 Thrives, 7 eliminations, 932 damage. But what matters at the end of the day is those eliminations that he can bring to the team. And for Thrives, they have been having a very busy round, especially on the right side of the circle. There were so many teams there that they needed to manage. So it's great to see them still able to bring in the elimination points. Besides Noki, Kazus with 5 eliminations, and then we have Falak with 4. And then we have Redface. Okay, it's been a while since we last saw him on one of the top performer charts. Coming with 3 eliminations, everything is on him.
Yeah, finally getting to see his smile, because most of the time Redface have always put on that poker face instead. But when we add all the points together, there's only 2 teams that, other than the winning team,